Welcome back. Now, this show likes to hear from people of all different aspects of business, large and small, male and female, typical and atypical. My next guest, Andrea Culligan-Dring, has overcome incredible odds to found her firm, Unimail, that last year won Telstra New South Wales Small Business of the Year, and she won the State Businesswoman of the Year. She most recently made the BRW Fast 100 list. She joins me now. Welcome.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you for having me.
Now, before we get into your background, just tell us a bit about your company. Give us a picture of this company you founded that obviously is winning awards and getting noticed.
Yeah, sure. Unimail has been around for about 11 years. We're a publishing and branding agency, but we specialise more specifically with employer branding, and then even more specifically with looking at university students going to big corporates as well as small organisations, and making sure that their corporate and employer branding are meeting the needs of their recruitment needs as well.
Well, before we go into how you set up the company, you've got an interesting background, and I used to do a small business show, and I know one of the stories that always inspired people was people who overcame adversity, who weren't the obvious candidates to succeed later in life. They might have left school or just had difficult childhoods. I gather you are in that category.
Yeah, I had a relatively rocky road that's probably even still up until about 3 years ago. However, I was raised in northern Canada. I left Canada in '98. However, I was highly bullied at school. I was from a very low socioeconomic household. We moved 16 times in 14 years, not by choice most of the time, and I landed in Australia trying to change my life.
How old were you when you came here?
I was 19 years old. When I was 14, I contemplated suicide. It was a really, really difficult time for me throughout that time of my life, and throughout those later years and then moving on to Australia, I realised that I needed to really wanted to change the way I was looking at my life and the viewpoint going forward. So I landed in Australia in 1998, and I did some crazy things, as I believe I've told you. I sang in pubs in Coober Pedy and worked on whale watching boats and worked in pubs in Cape York. And ended up at Unimail a couple of years later.
Well, you started off with $500 in your pocket when you got here.
Correct.
Were you driven by a desire to start your own business, or what was the plan?
Absolutely not. I had absolutely no plan. I had no idea. I had no desire or understanding of what that meant. I was taught at an early age that whatever I wanted to do, I could achieve it. And so anything I did, I wanted to do the very best at. You know, I was guiding the best whale watching boats, and I was singing in the best pubs in Coober Pedy. But needless to say, I think when I was given the opportunity, it was a great experience for me to be able to really grasp that and take it forward and take the business.
What do you think was the key to overcoming the challenges you had early on? Because many people in your position, you can take two paths, and many of them go the other way. What was the key that got you on the path to where you are now, do you think?
I don't think there's any big magic mix. I think you choose as to what you want to deal with your adversity. You either turn it into advantage, or you have a woe is me mentality, and you either take the adversity you've had in your life and the experiences you've had in your life, and you either turn them into a positive, into a solution, or you can sit on the back burner and wait for the world to try and hand you something on a plate, which inevitably never happens. My choice was to take those changes. I'd also been on my own for a very, very long time, and I knew that I had to do it on my own no matter what. I was living on the beach in Cairns without any money in my pocket whatsoever, you know, 11 years ago, and homeless in Cairns before I moved up to Cape York. So I guess experiencing that type of adversity has realised two things. Firstly, that I've been through the worst. It can't get any much worse, and also knowing that I'm absolutely happy to go back and clean floors or clean toilets if I ever had to, if it ever came to that. And I think having that nous to be hands-on with the business and going forward and being involved in every aspect of that means that my team appreciate that, they respect that, but also I know that my business will succeed if all else fails, because I know that every step of the way I can have some involvement in it.
So the keys to success in the company to become one of the, what was it, the Fast 100, what's been the key driving force there? And I mean, you know, picking up those Telstra awards, no small feat. There's a lot of people who go into those. So what would you say are the keys to the success you've had over those years at Unimail?
Look, I have two very wonderful business partners, Stuart Am and Doug Lowry, who have supported me quite heavily throughout the last 11 years, and having the three of us who think very differently work very well together, and so we have the ability to really manage our cash flow effectively, understand our legalities around that. think laterally, understand our branding, as well as I'm generally the doer, so I'll get in, hands in, and make it happen. And I think the success above and beyond that is also finding the right people to help you drive your business. I think that's been absolutely key to our business growth, in particular over the last 5 years, is finding the right people that'll help us drive that and make it go further and faster than we ever could. Finding people that are better than you, I mean, it's a key cliche, but the reality is that if you're finding experts in your industry, they're going to drive the business even faster than you ever thought you could.
We do a lot on the show. I was just talking to Lynn Rolfe. We talk often about women getting on boards. There's the argument at the big end of town that, you know, there's a lack of women out there with hands-on experience. I'm always stunned that in the SME sector, there's a lot of women out there doing it. I mean, do you have you found a problem being a female, or and do you see yourself moving on to bigger roles? Do you think that expertise should be used in bigger companies?
For good, not evil. I was in the engineering industry in Canada for a few years, and so I've experienced some pretty heavily male-dominated environments. Personally, I've found it's been fantastic for me. It means that people want to listen to me because I'm a minority in most groups. A lot of the CEO forums that I've been involved with over the years, I've generally been the only female as well, and I've always gotten staged because I've been the only woman in the room, and ability to speak my mind and communicate that as well. Going forward, I'm quite happy to run my own business. I feel that sharing my experience, I would love to really share the opportunity to work with SMEs as well as develop any issues or help them through any issues they might be having.
And I gather you do a bit of motivational speaking at the moment.
I do.
What's the key message you give in that motivation?
Predominantly that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Even 3 years ago, I suffered from a serious mental illness due to stress and pressure within my role, and suffered from severe anxiety disorder, and ended up going through that journey, which I'd never ever thought, and had my own formulated opinion about that before I even went through it myself. But going through those levels of adversity have allowed me to be able to stand up and say, look, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter your level of adversity, no matter what you've been through, you can actually go out and achieve it, no matter whatever has happened. It's your choice as to where you want to go.
Because there's a surprising number of people out there, isn't there, who identify, as I say, I know when I did the program, those were always the people. And in fact, Paul Howes, very well known now, head of the Australian Workers Union, he told me once that he left school at an early age, but watching someone do it on the Small Business Show of all shows gave him confidence. I mean, people like to see people succeed who've been through that, don't they?
Well, I mean, there's a number of entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs, that are high school dropouts, that cheated all the way through university. One of my favorite statements is there's an entrepreneur who finally told his dad that he cheated all the way through his accounting degree. And his dad said, well, you finally learned your first lesson, hire the best. So, you know, he'd hired people to cheat on his exams, and I think that's the key point is, you know, using your advisors and understanding where your strengths and weaknesses are. And if your strengths are being a leader, but your weaknesses are doing the accounting programs, well, then obviously leave it to the best.
Fascinating. We have to leave it there. The Telstra Awards come. You have to hand over the crown next week. But
next Friday.
Good luck in the future.
Thank you.
That was Andrea Culligan-Dring, and that's all we have time for tonight. We're running out of time. I'll see you tomorrow night.